This video is going to be on some kitchen wiring. The lamp that's up there is not centered, and I don't really like the lamp that's in there, so I don't know if I'm going to keep it or if I'm going to relocate it. But what I am going to do is install another lamp in the center of the room. It's a different perspective. The lamp is over there. I'm going to be installing a light fixture that's 1 foot by 2 foot somewhere in this area. Now that black dot over there, that's the center of the room ceiling. Right over where this yellow tape is, there's a stud that's a joist. There's a joist that goes this way. Now I know that because I put a stud detector on the ceiling, and I believe there's a stud over there, and there's another stud somewhere along this area over here. So what I need to do is get my wiring from where the black dot is, through the stud, joist, through the other joist, and somewhere around here where I know that the wires are. I put this lamp up and I know that the wiring is somewhere over here and goes over to the corner of the room. Here I have a piece of 12 gauge wire. I believe in the ceiling it's 12 gauge. It might be 14, but it is probably 12. If you have 14 gauge wire, which the number is bigger but the wire is smaller, if you have 14 gauge wire, you should connect it to 14 gauge wire. But if you connect it to 12 gauge, that is not a big issue because you're going smaller wire into big wire. But if the wire in your wall, in your ceiling, is 12 gauge, do not connect it to 14 gauge. To drill the holes through the joists, I bought a 3/4 inch speed bit, arbor bit, whatever you want to call it. And this one is really long, 16 inches long. I bought a Klein Tools Romex stripper and cutter. I didn't really want to spend the money on this. I've done a few jobs, and every time I have done them, I keep saying, buy this thing, and instead I don't, and then I struggle to cut the stripping this Romex without a stripper is not that easy. A little bit dark in here, but let me go over what I'm going to do again. That's the wire, the existing wire. There is a stud, there's a joist right over there, and there's a joist where this yellow tape is, and this is where I need to route the wire. So I need to drill a hole through that joist, route the wire along here to get it over to this joist. So this is what I did. I took the speed bit, went really quickly through this joist using an impact drill. Took seconds to do. You really can't. You can see a little bit of light going through. So I should be able to push the wire through now and then route it over to this area. If you're a professional, chances are you're just going to go and cut this whole thing out. You're going to cut it out, take 2 seconds, and you're going to go and replace it with a nice big square piece of drywall wallboard where you'll screw it into the studs in both locations, and you'll be done. Job the right way, you need to install outlet boxes or J boxes, junction boxes inside your wall, or in my case the ceiling. These are 2 examples of boxes. This is called a new work, N-E-W, new work box, and this is called an old work box. The reason is that if you didn't have drywall on the ceiling or the wall, it would be considered new work, and you would be able to mount this with screws onto the joist, and you wouldn't have a problem because it would be new work. Nothing on the joists to block mounting this. This is called old work because normally you would not be able to get access to the joists, and you would have to have a way to mount this, and you couldn't mount it in the front because if you did, it would come out. So the idea behind this is you have drywall on the ceiling. You would make a cutout. You would mark this. You have to do this carefully. You do not want to just cut a big hole. You'd have to mark on the ceiling the sides, obviously, and then the edge over here. And what you would do is you would assume this thing is the ceiling now. You drop it into the opening. And then after it got in there, you would tighten the screws over here, this latch would come out and it would stop the box from coming out of the opening. So what I'm going to be doing to do this properly is I'm going to put this in the opening where the lamp wire needs to go. If you are mounting, I'm strictly doing this because I'm going to be mounting my lamp on my ceiling. I don't need to worry about weight. If you're mounting something on the ceiling and the lamp is going to be connected and it's heavy, if you've only got maybe a pound or so of a light, this would be okay because the pound is not going to break this out of the drywall. But if you've got a heavy fixture, you want to get something that is going to have a mounting, even if you have to get a box that has brackets on both sides and you have to cut open the ceiling so that you can get a mounting between the joists. You need something secure so that this does not break through the wallboard, the drywall, and the lamp and everything falls on top of your head. It shows the Romex. It comes in 12-2, 12-3. Chances are you're only going to need the black wire and the white wire and a ground. So I'm going to need a cover for the box, the new work box, where I've got the hole that I need to cover up and allow access to the splice where the wire nuts are going to be. So you can buy a standard size, or you can buy one that's a little bit bigger. This is shows how much bigger it is over there. And that way you don't have to get your patching absolutely perfect, and you can use the cover to cover up some of the patching work that you did. These are the wire nuts. Again, you have to look on the package and see what it allows. This allows 3 number 12 gauge wires. You can also buy them that will allow 2 number 12 gauge wires, and that should work if you are using 14, because 14 is smaller than 12. And the expensive $25 Klein tool crimper, stripper, wire stripper, wire cutter, jacket cutter tool. This is about $25, and I'll be doing a little review on this thing over here as I complete my job to show you how this works. Said the old work box is going to be used here with the little tangs just to patch up this hole to allow the wires to come out of the ceiling, so that I can attach them to my lamp, but I'm not going to be putting any weight on this. So what you want to do is try to find your mounting location. Usually it's the center of the room. Measure in both directions, find the center, and if it matters, then mount this, mark the ceiling so that this will be centered. And then afterwards, what you will do is you will route your wire. Again, this is just dummy wire, but you'll route your wire into the openings from the original to the new location. The way this box works is you see there are 4 little tangs over there, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. I'll show you the inside. And so what you'll do is break out one of those tangs, or 2 of those tangs if you need to. You break it out, you bend it downward, and you will slide your wire through the back into the front of the box, let it hang out, and then you will take screwdriver, tighten these 2 screws on the front. These tangs will come out and hold the box in place. I have completed the cutout for my first junction box, J-box. That is where the wiring is going to go for the new lamp. What I did was I took this box and I put it on the ceiling this way, and I outlined the box. You want to make sure that you do not go... You don't want to make your hole so that it extends past these tabs, because these tabs, while they're not going to hold the box in, you want these tabs outward if you can have it. So make sure that you get your dimensions here and get them here. You're going to have to put these tangs down so that you can get your clean dimensions, and then mark it off on the wall. And if it doesn't fit, just keep knocking it in there slowly, marking it off the edges of it with a knife until you get everything cut out properly. And I decided, instead of using the stud box, that I'm going to be using this type of box because it's going to make my job much easier. So I'm going to go do the exact same thing here, figure out what side of the joist I want to put the box on and which way I want to position it so that my wires can go into the box properly, make sure that everything is okay, and then after that, then when I know everything's perfect, then I'm going to knock the boxes in there, knock the little tabs out like that in both positions, and then all I need to do is finish off my wiring inside the box, but everything else will be done. Then if I need to, I can do my wallboard patching or spackling or drywall compound or whatever you want to call it to patch up the gaps around there. Finish wiring everything. On this one, I'm going to put the cover over the box so that you have access, that I have access to the wiring. And over there, the wiring is just going to be out free because the light fixture is going to be mounted right over it. That cutout is finished. That is perfect sizing for the blue box that I will be installing, but I'll show you that in a minute. And I extended this opening. The blue box is going to go right over here. And from this section of the opening to the joist, I will replace that opening with a piece of wallboard. So after I'm done, this is going to be filled with the box. This section will be filled with the box and the faceplate, and all I'm going to have to do is patch up just a small area. And I've got the joist there, so I will be able to screw in that little piece of replacement wallboard, and it should be secure. I won't have to glue it in or put a cross beam over there. I've already got the joist. That cut, I measured it with I used this box, I put it on the ceiling, I did my outline. Again, be really careful that you don't overextend this area. If you do, it's not the end of the world, but you really don't want to, because you still have these tangs that will go and support the box. I used my wallboard saw, drywall saw, a few dollars at the store, saves a lot of money. That's what I used on the first one, that's what I used for most of my cuts. And then for the last one, I used the utility knife with a very sharp blade. Be really careful. You can slice off your finger with something like this. Go really slow. Have a trash can really close. I have the ladder with the trash can right above it, and I make sure that you won't fall off the ladder. You can push that into the wall. Just be careful with your wrist so that you don't tweak out your wrist with all the pressure. You can use it to score it, but I actually went and jammed it into the wall, into the ceiling, and then I kept on going all the way down until I got a nice clean cut. Plans. You can see the hole has gotten even bigger. Why? The box is going to be mounted over here. The box will fill up that hole. This hole, with the box being over on the back side, there's no way that I could route the cable through those two holes that I had drilled over there. And you need to route the cable to the side of the box, so I cut this space out and I'm going to route the wire through that hole. Then all I really need to do is patch up this tiny little section of opening here, which will be the last thing I'm going to do. So what I'll do now is I will route my wire from this hole all the way to this hole. Then I will insert the wire into those little slots that I showed you in the box. The original wire that's hiding back there, I'll insert that. I will put the box in there, turn the two little flip things so that the box is supported. Then I'll come over to this thing, put the wire through the little back tang openings that I showed you, push the box into there, and now I'm going to have wire hanging out of this box hole and this box hole. Then I will start doing the splicing and the stripping and getting everything prepared. And again, the patching of this opening will be the last part of the job. If you have a long run of wire that you need to snake through the wall or the ceiling, you can use one of these cable snakes, cable pullers. It's just a piece of metal that snakes through the ceiling or the wall, and I don't know if you can see it over here. It comes through here. And then you can take your cable, tie it to the end of the snake, and then pull it through the ceiling of the wall, and it makes it easier to route things. The new 12-gauge wire is coming out of both holes, so now I'm going to take the box, and I'm going to push the wires through these little tangs that are in here from behind, and then I'm going to put the box into the ceiling and screw these little things in so these tangs come out and hold the box into the opening. I have the wiring coming through the front. You can see it's pushed in through the back. Slide it up, mount it into the ceiling opening now. Make sure that your wires are extended far enough so that you will be able to do your wiring and work. Very simple to do. Got the jacket stripped back on my new wire, which has a ground wire, but the original that I'm connecting to doesn't have a ground wire. So I just can't attach a ground wire on here. That's just how it goes. It's in the ceiling, so it's not going to be a big issue. I've got the box inside the opening, so now I'm going to take the screwdriver, press upward, which will raise that little flap above the drywall, and it will flip it this way. And then as I tighten the screw, it will squeeze the box between that flap. I'm not sure if you can see the little blue flap right inside there. It's open, it's turned to the side, and so now I just need to tighten the screws, hold the box against the wall, tighten the screws until everything is tight. Don't over-tighten it because you don't want to crack this or bend off your tangs. This is now secure inside the ceiling. I've got my wires coming in here. I will, since one of these is live, I'm not going to do the connecting to the wire nuts yet, but I will do that. I will shove all the wires back inside the box. Put the cover on there. The cover will go to about here, and then before I do that, I'm going to be cutting this opening so it's perfectly even. I'll cut out a piece of drywall, mount it inside the space, put it inside this wood over here with the screws. That's why I ended up relocating the wire, because I was not able to get the wire through straight in the first place. Plus the box was blocking it. Plus I wasn't able to get the screws into the joist to hold up the drywall. So I had to relocate everything. That's the finished job. The wires are connected. The box is in the new location. The wires are ready for the lamp. The box for the original wires is new wires in there. It's spliced to the old wire. I'm going to shove the wires inside there. I will put my new piece of drywall in here. If you want to learn how to do drywall, go check my channel. I show how to cut drywall and how to patch it and use the tape. Or you can watch other videos online. And I will cut that little L-shaped piece over there. I might make it a little bigger. I'll probably just cut that L-shaped piece so I can have that tang, that area for the screw over there. And that's it. If you like my videos, thumbs up, subscribe, or do a like. If you want to donate to my channel, ask me for my PayPal info in a message or online. And good luck. Make sure you turn off the power when you're doing these jobs so you don't shock yourself. And also get a meter and check the wires for voltage to make sure you don't have any leakage or any current going through your wires even though everything is turned off. Be safe. A piece of wallboard cut out right now. Normally you want to do a square if you can, but in my situation I really can't do that. Since the wallboard is 5/8 of an inch, I'm using 1 5/8 inch drywall screws. Those will shoot up into the joist, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. You're looking at the wallboard that I just mounted. It is one of the best jobs I've done, and I will say the reason it came out so well so far is because of the Makita impact drill that I've been using. It's just made drilling in the joist very easy. Mounting these screws was really easy because I had that tool. I did a review of it. There's the Makita. The thing is absolutely incredible. What I'm going to do now is mix some wallboard drywall compound, and I'm going to shove it into the creases around the board. Right around here. Again, I've got a video if you want to look at how that's done, but you just take some tape, some compound tape, you put it around there to make things a little easier for the compound to set in, and then you use a tool and you put your compound on, you get it flat across here, flat across here. Professionals will probably extend way out and try to feather everything in, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not a professional. I just want to keep it as close to this job area as I can. I'm going to be using some patching compound. It's fast set, it dries in 20 minutes, maybe faster. You can use compound if you want to. I made a video that shows how to do this, but I'm going to add it onto this video also. So that's a lot. That's a heck of a lot. So what you do is you put this stuff in there in your container. If you don't have one of these plastic things that cost a couple bucks, you use a little box or cardboard or something. And I'm going to mix some water in there so it's kind of like a thick, you don't want it watery, you want it thick, like a peanut butter, so that when you apply it, it doesn't flop off of the wall and land on the floor. So you do want it kind of thick and gooey and not runny. So I'm going to put some water in here now, I'm going to get the thing mixed up, and then I'll apply it on the ceiling and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. I wish I had a smaller thing to apply this with, but I don't. I don't have it with me, so I'm going to have to use this big wide thing. It's very difficult to mix in this container because I don't need all of this, but the thing is just too wide. But you can see the thickness, the gooiness. This might even be a little too thick. I've got less than probably 10 minutes to apply this now. It's already starting to harden because it took me a long time to mix it up. And I'll show you what it looks like after I'm done. I did not use compound tape. I really didn't need to. I'm not a pro at this, but it came out smooth enough. I've got one coating on there. Normally you would put two, but the damage wasn't really that bad, so I was able to smooth it on. I'll sand it down. I don't even need to sand it down, but I'll sand it down a little bit, make it smoother. Put a little bit of primer and some base coat on there, white, and you'll never know, and then I'll put the switch on there. As far as this area, that's the new box. The wire is in there waiting for the new fixture. There won't be a cover on there because the fixture will be covering this box. And that's the end of my video. I do hope that, if nothing else, you learned something on how to do this. It is not a difficult job. It's not something easy. A pro would probably do this in 20 minutes or an hour at the most. And I spent about a week doing this, just maybe 20 minutes or a half an hour at a time, one day at a time. So it just depends on your personality. With me, I was in no rush to do this. I didn't have people telling me to clean out the kitchen or to get the dirt out of the way or to move the ladder. So I was patient. I worked one day at a time, took my time, thought about it at night, planned it out in my head what I was going to do, how I was going to do this, how I was going to route the wire. When I came upon something that wasn't going to work, remember when I had the extra holes in there where the box was? I put the hole over to the side and I enlarged the opening a little bit so that I was able to drill for routing the cable. So this is not difficult work. Make sure you turn off the power. If you have just the basic amount of skill and talent, you're not going to screw this up, and if you do, call an electrician to help you afterwards. And if you get to that point and you can't get the patching done, then call somebody to help you patch the thing up. But take a chance. Take a chance on these things. Everybody learns by doing, and you don't learn unless you try to do this stuff. The professionals needed to learn, and I wouldn't do this if you live in a mansion and you're worried about what it's going to look like at the end, even though you should be able to make it work. But take a chance and maybe you'll learn something and you get some experience, and then the next job, this is probably the third time I've routed wire or worked on a box. The second time I've installed the box, and I felt more confident. I knew what I was going to do. I knew what I had to do, and I knew if I messed up, I could get some help to close it up. So don't be intimidated by this stuff. Everyone needs to start somewhere to learn. Again, turn off the power on your breaker. Do not mess with bare wires unless you know there's no power, and be safe. There it is, everyone. Final result. Ceiling is painted. Nice fresh coat of white paint. And that's what you can do if you spend a little time working on this job. Good luck.